Hi everybody, I'm Loren. My company is Intentional Acting. I'm hired by actors who just seem to keep getting passed over and they don't know why, and what they want is to book more jobs and build a career of being an in-demand actor. So if that's you, let's talk. But let's talk technique today. Technique. I always thought, what is acting technique? What is technique? I heard that coming out of graduate school, I didn't even really know what technique was. And then I developed a technique, and I'm like, this is technique, which is what I call the 9 questions of intentional acting, which is one pillar of these 3 pillars. But what it is it tells you what to do, the technical things of what you need to do when you get in front of a camera. And that's what I want to talk about today. What happens that moment right before you get in front of the camera? What do you do? And I was thinking about it like this. It's like getting in a plane, it's like a pilot piloting a plane, all right? And the most dangerous parts are the takeoff and the landing. And that's always the trickiest parts for actors, is the beginning and the end, right? We kind of get in the middle and we get in the flow and we're sailing, and it can even be a little like autopilot, kind of like they do in planes, right? They go to autopilot. But that beginning is where we need that technique to get started. Okay, and that's where you focus on the technique. So for example, one of the things that I tell my students to do is get in front of the camera, and I want you to think about what's the scene about? What are the relationships? Like, who am I talking to? We were working on a scene this morning, and she was a reporter, and she's talking to the camera, into the camera, which is her audience. And then over here to the right was her producer, and she's like, okay, did we get that? Is that a good take? But then I'm talking to the audience as another person, and then the person that she's interviewing. Okay, so there's 3 different people. What are those relationships? Then what do I need each one of those to do? So I go, what are my relationships? Where does this take place? Okay, I'm in a school auditorium. What happened the moment before? I just got notice that we're live. Okay, there's my moment before. And then keeping yourself in it is how you relate to it. But then once you kind of establish that thing and think about what's the experience of being in a school auditorium? What's the experience of being in front of camera and being a reporter? What's the experience of having your producer right there listening, and the experience of going, okay, we're on, we're live, ready to go, and welcome to Greenwood Elementary, whatever it is, right? So we have that we can live there and live in that experience of interviewing somebody. And once that happens, generally the lines will start to follow, and then we've taken off and we're in autopilot, right? And now we can keep going. And I watch this happen over and over again with actors, is that the scene sort of takes off when they stop thinking or working so hard, right? So I'm not saying work harder, I'm saying work smarter. So at the beginning, being really clear how you're piloting your scene by what are the relationships, who are I connecting to, where am I, making that real to me, because when it becomes clear and real to you, then it becomes real and clear to the audience. So the more specific your work is, and the specificity is, what do I see, hear, smell, touch, taste? Where am I? Who specifically am I talking to? And then when that becomes so clear to me, all of a sudden I get lost in that story. And then my audience also gets lost in that story. So there's some technique on how to not pilot a plane, but get the beginning of your scene, get the beginning of your auditions, the beginning of your self-tapes and your scenes going. And how to use your technique to do that. So please comment, let me know how this helps you, and if you have any questions.